Did you know about Hillary Clinton's use of private email server?
No.
While she was Secretary of State?
No.
Do you think it posed a national security problem?
I don't think it posed a national security problem. I think that it was a mistake that she's acknowledged. And, as a general proposition, when we're in these offices, we have to be more sensitive and stay as far away from the line as possible when it comes to how we handle information, how we handle our own personal data. And she made a mistake. She's acknowledged it. I do think that the way it's been ginned up is in part because of politics. And I think she'd be the first to acknowledge that maybe she could have handled the original decision better and the disclosures more quickly.
What was your reaction when you found out about it?
This is one of those issues that I think is legitimate, but the fact that for the last 3 months this is all that's been spoken about is an indication that we're in presidential political season.
Do you agree with what President Clinton has said and Secretary Clinton has said, that this is not that big a deal? Do you agree with that?
Well, I'm not going to comment on...
Do you think it's not that big a deal?
What I think is that it is important for her to answer these questions to the satisfaction of the American public, and they can make their own judgment. I can tell you that this is not a situation in which America's national security was endangered.
Well, a lot to unpack there.
Okay. What did you think was most important?
Well, that he wouldn't answer what I think any other president of the same party would ask of a presumptive nominee in the middle of a problem. Do you think this is a big deal? No, it's not. He wouldn't say that. He said it was a legitimate inquiry. Could have handled, really, I thought, sort of his effect was pretty calm, but yeah. It seemed the one that jumped out at me was when he said she could have handled this much better. She made a mistake, and she could have handled the disclosures much better. But yeah, he certainly did not. He did not go to bat for her last night. He speculated that national security wasn't damaged, but we don't know that yet.
Right.
And we're only now finding out that China and Russia and everybody else tried to hack into her servers. We found out over the weekend that she may have revealed the top human intelligence source in Libya. So we don't know that. He's speculating on that. But on all these politically, just is a president going to help somebody out that needs help? He didn't do that.
Well, he wasn't going to come out in that interview and trash his former Secretary of State, the front runner of his party. So I think you'd expect the tone where he said, well, it's not that big a deal. It probably was unwise. Basically saying all the things she's said of her own decisions to do that. But again, in the background is the Joe Biden decision. So he's got to straddle the line of who he's going to come out and support and how honest he wants to be in that interview. But I agree with you, the national security question, you just can't wasn't a threat to national security. You just can't say that yet. There's an investigation going on. The FBI will determine that. And privately, if you talk to the president and people around him, I don't think he would be so willing to come out and say, yeah, it was no big deal.
And they don't say that privately. Right. And, of course, the great irony is this is the administration that actually went after reporters and tried to throw them in jail for reporting on stories that had probably some security clearance information even less compelling than this. But Mike, Steve Croft kept going after him, saying, she says it's not a big deal. It's a big deal. And he wouldn't answer that question. And then he said, do you think this is a big deal? And he refused to answer whether he thinks this is a big deal or not. He said, yeah, they've been talking about it a lot, but he said it's legitimate. Again, what's so fascinating here is what was not said, what is usually said in these circumstances, which actually is, you wouldn't expect him to attack Hillary Clinton, but this really does just sort of confirm what we've been saying all along about a real anger inside the Obama White House.
Well, Steve Croft, first of all, brought his A game to that interview last night. He was playoff ready. And he clearly annoyed the President of the United States at several points during the interview, and it was fairly contentious at several points during the interview. I have a different view than the two of you seem to have on the question of no national security interest. I don't think the President of the United States would go on national TV and say national security wasn't threatened unless he was very confident that it wasn't threatened.
We don't know yet, though.
But he does. He knows a little bit more than I do.
He doesn't know what's on this. He knows more than all of us knows, but he doesn't know what the FBI is going to be able to uncover on the servers.
That's true.
An FBI investigation is active. They don't know what they're going to find. They may find nothing. And let's hope, for the sake of America's national security, they find nothing. But it is an ongoing investigation, and he doesn't know.
That's true.
Magically what's on.
That's true, but
he said he didn't think.
I would hesitate. I don't think he would risk the embarrassment of having it slapped back on him.
Well, you know what will happen when he does? He'll go, well, I just heard this in the news like you.
Who knew?
Which is what he always does.